Marcus Harrison stared at the ancient brass compass sitting on his laboratory desk, its needle spinning wildly despite being nowhere near any electromagnetic fields. The quantum research facility lay silent at this late hour, most of his colleagues having left hours ago. Only the soft hum of equipment and occasional beeping of monitors kept him company. Or so he thought. Fascinating how your kind still relies on physical instruments to understand reality, a voice like honey and midnight whispered behind him. Marcus spun around, nearly knocking over his coffee. In the dim light of his monitors stood a woman, if she could be called that. Her skin shimmered with an iridescent purple hue, and her eyes held the depth of galaxies. She wore what appeared to be formal attire from another era, though it seemed to shift and change when he wasn't looking directly at it. "I'm Naira," she said, perching herself on his desk as if materializing in secure research facilities was perfectly normal. "And you, Dr. Marcus Harrison, have accidentally activated an interdimensional beacon." She picked up the compass, which immediately stopped its erratic spinning. That's impossible," Marcus managed, his scientific mind racing to explain her presence. "This is a level 4 secure facility. The quantum shielding alone is quite impressive," Naira interrupted, "for three-dimensional technology. Unfortunately, you've been measuring ripples while ignoring the ocean." She smiled, revealing teeth that seemed to glitter like diamonds. "I'm what your mythology would call a succubus, though that term is rather reductive. Think of me as a diplomat from the higher dimensions." Marcus reached for his tablet, instinctively wanting to document this encounter. "A diplomat who appears in private to quantum physicists? Only those on the verge of breakthroughs that could destabilize the multiverse," she replied casually. "Your research into quantum entanglement across dimensional barriers has attracted attention. Some of my colleagues suggested simply erasing your work, but I advocated for a more collaborative approach." "You're offering me a deal," Marcus said, his initial fear giving way to scientific curiosity. "3 wishes, actually." Naira's expression turned serious. "Though not the simple kind from your fairy tales. These are reality-altering choices that could either advance your understanding of the cosmos or tear apart the fabric of existence." "Why 3? Balance. 3 is a number of completion in most dimensional frequencies. More importantly, it allows for mistakes." She gave him a meaningful look. "Humans tend to need those." Marcus's mind raced with possibilities. His life's work had been aimed at understanding the fundamental nature of reality. Now, sitting before him was proof that everything he thought he knew was just the surface. "There are rules, of course," Naira continued. "You cannot wish for more wishes. You cannot directly harm other beings across dimensions. And most importantly, you cannot wish to alter the fundamental constants that hold reality together." "That still leaves a lot of possibilities," Marcus mused. "Indeed." Naira stood, her movement leaving trailing echoes of light. "But choose carefully, Dr. Harrison. Each wish changes not just reality, but you as well. The person who makes the 3rd wish will be very different from the one who makes the 1st. Marcus looked at the compass, now lying inert on his desk. "Do I have to decide now?" "Time is more flexible than your species believes," Naira replied. "But the longer you wait, the more your current research risks damaging the dimensional barriers. Choose soon." She turned to leave, then paused. "Oh, and Dr. Harrison? That theory you've been working on about quantum consciousness? You're closer than you think. Much closer." With that, she vanished, leaving behind only a faint scent of ozone and starlight. Marcus sat in his lab chair, staring at the space where she had been. The rational part of his mind argued this was a hallucination brought on by too much caffeine and too little sleep. But the compass on his desk now pointed in a direction that didn't exist in three-dimensional space, and his quantum readings showed patterns he'd never seen before. He pulled up his research notes, mind already racing with new possibilities. Whatever game this was, whatever cosmic test he'd stumbled into, one thing was certain, nothing would ever be the same. Marcus spent the next week in a state of controlled frenzy, his lab becoming a nest of new equations and theories. The quantum readings from the night of Naira's visit had revealed patterns he'd never seen before, mathematical proof of higher dimensions. His colleagues thought he'd made a breakthrough. In a way, they were right. "You haven't slept properly in days," Naira's voice drifted from behind him. This time, Marcus didn't jump. "Been busy documenting the quantum signatures you left behind," he replied, turning to face her. "Did you know your presence creates a unique pattern of dimensional interference? It's beautiful." Naira's iridescent skin shimmed with what might have been amusement. "Most humans don't respond to supernatural visitation by taking measurements. Most humans aren't quantum physicists." Marcus gestured to his screens. "I've mapped the mathematical structure of your dimensional transitions. I think I understand now why the barriers between worlds are weakening." "Oh." Naira raised an eyebrow, moving closer to examine his work. "Our technology is evolving faster than our understanding. We're like children playing with matches near a gas leak." Marcus pulled up a complex simulation. "But if we could stabilize the quantum field at these points?" "Your first wish?" Naira asked softly. Marcus took a deep breath. "I wish for the knowledge and ability to perceive and manipulate quantum fields across dimensional boundaries, but only in ways that strengthen rather than weaken the barriers between worlds." Naira's eyes widened slightly. "Careful. Precise. You've thought this through." "I had a good teacher about being specific with wishes," Marcus smiled. The air around them began to shimmer. Naira raised her hands, purple energy dancing between her fingers. "Knowledge has a price, Dr. Harrison. Are you prepared to see reality as it truly is? Will it hurt? Like nothing you've ever experienced." She placed her hands on either side of his face. "But then again, rebirth usually does." The world exploded. Marcus felt his consciousness expand in all directions at once. He saw the quantum foam of reality, the strings of probability weaving between dimensions. Colors that had no names in human language painted the air around him. He could see the weak points in reality, places where human technology had unknowingly stressed the fabric of existence. More importantly, he understood how to fix them. When his awareness returned to normal scale, he found himself on his knees, tears streaming down his face. Naira knelt beside him, her expression concerned. "Still with us?" she asked. "Everything," Marcus whispered. "I can see everything. The quantum fields, the dimensional frequencies, the—" He trailed off, staring at her in wonder. "I can see your true form." Naira stiffened. "That wasn't supposed to be part of the knowledge transfer." "You're beautiful," Marcus said softly. "Like a symphony made of starlight." For the first time, he saw a purple blush creep across her iridescent skin. "Focus, Dr. Harrison. You have work to do." And work he did. Over the next few days, Marcus began subtly adjusting quantum fields around major research facilities. His colleagues were baffled by the sudden stability in their experiments, the clean data that emerged from previously chaotic systems. Naira appeared each night, watching his progress. If she noticed how his gaze lingered on her true form shimmering beneath her human appearance, she didn't mention it. "You're adapting well," she observed on the fourth night. "Most humans go mad when they glimpse the true nature of reality." "Maybe I was already a little mad," Marcus replied, manipulating quantum strings with his bare hands. "You have to be, to dedicate your life to understanding the impossible." "Is that what I am? Impossible?" Marcus turned to her. "You're improbable. There's a difference." Their eyes met, and for a moment, the quantum fields around them resonated in harmony. Naira broke the contact first. "You still have 2 wishes," she reminded him. "I know." Marcus returned to his work. But I'm learning there are some things even wishes can't give you. Naira watched him work in silence, her expression unreadable. But in the quantum fields around her, Marcus could see emotions creating ripples in reality itself. She left earlier than usual that night, and the space she had occupied hummed with frequencies that felt almost like longing. Marcus smiled to himself. Perhaps he wasn't the only one being changed by these encounters. In the corner, the ancient compass spun wildly, pointing to possibilities that hadn't existed before. The boundaries between worlds were stabilizing, but other boundaries, more personal ones, were beginning to blur in fascinating ways. The problem with seeing reality's true nature, Marcus discovered, was that you couldn't unsee it. Every moment brought new wonders and terrors. He watched quantum probabilities bloom and die around passing strangers. He saw how human emotions left ripples in dimensional space. But most distractingly, he saw Naira even when she wasn't there. Her dimensional signature lingered in his lab, traces of higher dimensional energy that sang to his newfound senses. He found himself mapping the patterns she left behind, complex mathematical expressions of something that felt surprisingly like affection. Studying my residual energy patterns again. Her voice carried amusement as she materialized one evening. They're changing, Marcus said without turning around. Growing more complex. More harmonious with this dimension. A side effect of spending too much time here, Naira replied, but he heard the tension in her voice. Is that why the Council of Eternals is watching us? Naira froze. You can sense them. Since yesterday. Marcus finally turned to face her. They're like shadows at the edge of reality. Watching. Waiting. They're concerned. Naira paced the lab, her agitation creating waves in the quantum field. This isn't proceeding according to protocol. You were supposed to use your wishes quickly, recklessly. Create a controlled crisis that would justify limiting human technological advancement. Instead, I'm helping stabilize dimensional barriers. Marcus smiled. How inconvenient. This isn't funny, Marcus. The use of his first name sent ripples through multiple dimensions. They're going to intervene soon. And when they do. She stopped, her true form flickering with distress. Then we don't give them the chance. Marcus stood, decision made. I wish to share your dimensional state, to exist as you do, moving freely between realms. No. Naira's outburst shattered several beakers. You don't understand what you're asking. To exist in my state is to be bound by ancient laws, to serve the Council's will for eternity. Then I'll find a way to free us both. The air between them grew heavy with possibility. Naira stared at him, her galaxy eyes wide. Us? I see you, Naira. Not just your energy signature or your quantum state. I see you. Marcus stepped closer, the dimensional barriers between them growing thinner. And I think you see me too. This is forbidden, she whispered, but didn't move away. Then why did you really come to me that first night? The truth. Naira was quiet for a long moment. When she spoke, her voice carried harmonics from a dozen dimensions. Your research was destabilizing reality, yes. But there were other ways to stop it. I chose this way because I saw your soul through the quantum foam. It sang to me. Marcus reached out, his fingers brushing her iridescent skin. Where they touched, reality itself seemed to hold its breath. The wish stands, he said softly. I wish to share your dimensional state. Naira closed her eyes. The Council will hunt us. Let them. She opened her eyes, and they blazed with starfire. As you wish. The transformation began slowly, reality peeling away layer by layer. Marcus felt his consciousness expand beyond the boundaries of traditional spacetime. His physical form became optional, a costume he could wear or discard at will. But more than that, he felt the connection to Naira deepen into something profound. Their quantum states harmonized, creating patterns of impossible beauty across the dimensional plane. When the change was complete, Marcus existed in all dimensions at once, his awareness stretched across multiple planes of reality. The laboratory around them seemed crude and simple now, like a child's drawing of a much more complex truth. "How do you feel?" Naira asked, her true form now fully visible to his new senses. "Complete," Marcus replied, his voice carrying the same multidimensional harmonics as hers. "Though I suspect the council won't share my enthusiasm." As if summoned by his words, darkness gathered at the edges of reality. The shadows he'd sensed before were moving, converging. "They're coming," Naira said, her energy field intertwining protectively with his. "The council doesn't permit unauthorized dimensional transitions." "Good thing I saved one wish then." Marcus smiled, his new form blazing with defiance. "Because I have a feeling we're going to need it." Around them, reality trembled as the Council of Eternals began to manifest. But Marcus wasn't afraid. For the first time, he understood exactly what he was fighting for, not just knowledge or power, but the right to choose one's own destiny across all dimensions of existence. And as Naira's energy field pulsed in sync with his own, he knew she felt the same way. Together, they faced the gathering storm, ready to rewrite the laws of reality itself. The council manifested as 5 beings of pure energy, their forms too geometric to be natural, too fluid to be artificial. They filled the laboratory with presence that bent light and warped probability. "The ancient laws have been broken," the first council member's voice resonated through multiple dimensions. "The barriers between realms must be maintained." Marcus floated beside Naira, his newly transformed consciousness adapting to existence across multiple planes. "The barriers are stronger than ever. I've been repairing them." "That is not the barrier we speak of." The second council member shifted, creating patterns of dark energy. "The divide between servant and master, between watcher and watched, these are the boundaries that must not blur." "You mean the boundaries that keep you in control?" Naira's voice carried a defiance that sent ripples through quantum space. "The laws that ensure beings like me remain tools rather than equals." The third council member moved forward, its form suggesting disapproval. "You were created to serve a purpose, Naira. To test humanity's readiness for higher knowledge through controlled wishes. Not to." It paused, energy patterns fluctuating, develop attachments. "Created?" Marcus turned to Naira, his energy field pulsing with concern. Naira's form flickered with something like shame. "We succubi were engineered by the council, designed to be perfect servants. Emotional connection was meant to be impossible. And yet here we are." Marcus's consciousness reached out to hers, their energy patterns harmonizing. "Maybe your creators didn't understand as much as they thought." "This connection is an aberration," the fourth council member declared. "It must be severed." The fifth council member, who had remained silent, suddenly moved closer. Its energy patterns were different from the others, more complex, almost curious. Perhaps it is evolution." The other council members recoiled. "Heresy. Look at their quantum resonance," the fifth member continued. "Perfect harmony across all dimensional frequencies. What we designed to be tools have grown beyond their programming. Is this not the very evolution we hope to guide?" "It is dangerous," the first member insisted. "Uncontrolled. Unpredictable." Marcus laughed, the sound creating cascading patterns in reality. "Like humanity itself? That's what really frightens you, isn't it? Not that will destroy reality, but that will change it in ways you can't control." The laboratory trembled as the council's power grew. "You understand nothing, human. The cosmic order must be maintained." "No," Naira moved forward, her form blazing. "You understand nothing. You created us to be perfect servants, but perfection without growth is just stagnation. Marcus showed me that humanity's greatest strength isn't their technology or their knowledge, it's their capacity to change, to love, to defy the impossible. The Council's energy began to coalesce, forming into a weapon of pure dimensional force. Then you leave us no choice. The aberration must be corrected. Marcus felt the power building around them, reality itself being bent to the Council's will. In moments, they would be erased from existence, not just killed, but removed from all possible timelines. But he still had one wish. Any last words? The first council member asked, almost ceremonially. Just one. Marcus smiled, his energy field expanding to encompass Naira. I wish for the power to rewrite the fundamental laws binding succubi to the Council's will, granting them true free will and the ability to form genuine connections across all dimensions. The universe seemed to hold its breath. You cannot, the council members spoke in unison. That wish violates the fundamental laws of reality. No, the fifth member said softly. It violates your laws. But reality has already changed. Power erupted from Marcus and Naira's joined energy fields, spreading across dimensions like a shockwave. Wherever it touched, ancient bindings shattered. Across reality, succubi felt their chains of servitude dissolve. The council members reeled as their power over their creations evaporated. What have you done? Created something new, Marcus replied, feeling Naira's consciousness shine with newfound freedom. Just like humanity always does. The laboratory filled with light as reality reshuffled itself around this new paradigm. The Council's weapon dissolved, their absolute authority replaced by something more complex, more democratic. The old order is ended, the fifth council member declared. A new age begins. As the light faded, Marcus and Naira remained, their energy patterns permanently intertwined. Around them, the quantum fields hummed with possibility. The council had vanished, but their presence lingered in the fabric of reality, no longer as absolute rulers, but as part of a greater cosmic democracy. Are you ready for what comes next? Naira asked, her form shimmering with newfound freedom. Marcus drew her closer, their consciousness merging across dimensions. As long as we face it together. Above them, reality sparkled with new potential, as humanity's capacity for love proved once again to be the most powerful force in any dimension. 1 year after the cosmic revolution, Marcus's laboratory had become something entirely new. Quantum computers interfaced directly with higher dimensions, while freed succubi worked alongside humans to explore the boundaries of possibility. The ancient compass that started it all sat in a place of honor, its needle now pointing to paths that even Marcus couldn't fully comprehend. The Jakarta facility is online, Naira announced, materializing from a swirl of iridescent energy. That's the 7th dimensional gateway this month. Marcus looked up from his work, his consciousness automatically reaching out to harmonize with hers. Any problems with the integration? Nothing major. Though one of the human scientists did faint when Kira demonstrated multidimensional probability manipulation. Naira's form shimmered with amusement. Some of your kind are still adjusting to the new reality. Can you blame them? Marcus gestured to the holographic displays showing quantum traffic between dimensions. A year ago, most humans thought succubi were myths. Now they're helping redesign the fundamental architecture of reality. Speaking of which. Naira floated closer, her energy patterns suggesting excitement. The Council of New Unity has approved our proposal. Marcus's form brightened. The Dimensional Academy? A place where humans and succubi can learn from each other, exploring their potential together. Naira's consciousness merged partially with his, sharing images of the proposed facility, a campus that existed simultaneously across multiple planes of reality. They want us to lead it. Us? Marcus's energy field pulsed with surprise. I'm still learning about these powers myself. Exactly. Naira's form shifted closer. Who better to teach the integration of human and higher dimensional potential than the ones who proved it was possible? Before Marcus could respond, a familiar presence filled the laboratory. The fifth council member, now known as the Ambassador of Change, materialized with characteristic geometric precision. Your success continues to exceed expectations, the ambassador's voice resonated across dimensions. The harmony between human and succubi consciousness has created possibilities we never imagined. That's because you tried to control evolution instead of letting it happen naturally, Marcus replied, though without bitterness. The old wounds had healed as the new order proved more beneficial than anyone predicted. A lesson we are still learning, the ambassador acknowledged. Which is why the Academy is so important. The next generation must understand both the power and responsibility of dimensional consciousness. Naira's energy field intertwined more deeply with Marcus's. They'll understand more than that. They'll understand that love isn't bound by dimensional barriers or ancient laws. It transcends everything, even reality itself. The ambassador's form shifted in what might have been amusement. You sound almost human, Naira. No, she replied, I sound free. After the ambassador departed, Marcus and Naira floated together above the laboratory, their combined consciousness extending across multiple realities. Below them, humans and succubi worked together, their differences becoming less relevant with each passing day. Do you ever regret it? Naira asked softly. Giving up your purely human existence. Marcus's energy field pulsed with certainty. Never. Although. His form shifted playfully, I do miss being able to enjoy pizza properly. Multidimensional taste buds make everything taste like quantum probability. Naira's laugh cascaded through several dimensions. There are other pleasures to explore. Her consciousness merged more fully with his, sending waves of ecstasy through their shared energy field. The council warned that human succubi relationships would destabilize reality, Marcus observed, once they had recovered their individual forms. They were right. Naira gestured to the transformed laboratory, to the newly awakened world beyond. But sometimes reality needs destabilizing. Sometimes love is worth rewriting the laws of the universe for. Marcus pulled her close, their forms merging into a dance of light and energy. Above them, the quantum fields shimmered with possibilities that hadn't existed before their revolution. Humans were venturing into higher dimensions, while succubi were discovering the joys of limited, focused existence. Reality itself had become more fluid, more alive. Ready to shape the next generation? Marcus asked. Naira's form blazed with determination. Ready to shape the future itself. Together, they soared through the dimensional barriers they had helped dissolve, their love a testament to the power of defying impossible odds. In laboratories and academies across the world, new students of both species were learning to see beyond traditional boundaries, guided by the example of a quantum physicist who dared to love a succubus, and a succubus who dared to love him back. The ancient compass in Marcus's lab spun wildly, pointing to adventures yet to come. After all, in a reality transformed by love, anything was possible.